Now the plan is to move over to Richard. Hello, Richard.
Hi there.
Hey there. So you're gonna talk about hybrid slash multi-cloud network security topology. That's a big topic, and you only have 15 minutes. So I'm gonna leave you to it.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Thanks for that. Yeah, and I'd just like to sort of reflect on Nick's comment. It's always nice to see an old colleague sort of speaking before me, but his praises on the event. It's been very well run, and a big thanks to Orange Cyber Defence for bringing on the participants here today. So thank you for that. So yeah, I'm going to look at more of an application-centric view of the hybrid network and kind of how that touches on compliance. So quick intro. Rich Ferrier, I'm the Regional Alliances and Channel Manager at AlgoSec. Been there 3 years. So I'll be taking you through, hopefully, how understanding your hybrid or your multi-cloud network can actually assist in things like digital transformation, microsegmentation, but just overall better network hygiene and security. So challenges we're seeing today, really, and I think it's kind of been brought out with many of the speakers here today, is that we are seeing that broken visibility into application connectivity. That last line with Nick was, why is that talking to that? That's that broken visibility. Traditional firewall policies. I mean, I myself used to work for a very large global marketing company as the network security admin. And I didn't know anything about the applications. I was just looking at the firewall side of it. This is many years ago, but it was just a case of just changing what was asked. Okay, we'd look into slight risks maybe on it, but it was making the changes without that visibility of why we're making the changes behind it. And if we're doing that, then we are actually increasing risk. Later on in one of the later sessions, our CTO, Professor Wall, will be going into more depth around these risks, such as the lateral movement within the network, the ransomware side of it. But that also then gives us, maybe a breach in compliance. We could fail an audit without that visibility as well. And a third piece we see really is in the sort of DevOps community. So we're seeing slow application changes, slow rollout of those applications, mainly because the applications owners don't understand the network behind. The network owners don't understand the application, so it's really bringing in like an application-centric view to improve and speed up, and make approvals for these changes easier, and even down to a zero-touch model where low or no risk changes can just be approved automatically in the background. So the hybrid network, really, we're talking about physical networks. We're talking about the private cloud, the SDNs, the public clouds. And traditionally, we have a security layer on top of that with the firewalls, maybe some proxies in the cloud, the security groups. And this would have been the traditional way of managing the network, having a sort of external policy and then maybe an internal policy between very sort of minimal segmented networks, the DMZ is a traditional one, the internal network and the external network, and that was about as far as many companies went. They may then have a database network, maybe, or some other application type back end, but again, still quite large networks, not down to what we are talking around today about the zero trust sort of model and so forth. On top of the sort of traditional security layer, we would then have some form of application framework where we're implementing the applications, but we're also tying it into things within the network as well. So the authorization tools, trying to keep the information about the assets in some sort of store, looking at the traffic as well, being able to pull in that traffic data and try and have some understanding, and then the orchestration piece of actually deploying applications as well within the network. And on top of all of that, we then have our operational framework where we're trying to push that information. So change management systems for the ticketing side, the information to GRC and the SIM solutions, and if possible, we're pulling back vulnerability information. Now, to control all that, really what we need to do is understand the actual hybrid network. First stage of that is to discover and understand where the traffic's going. Once we've got that piece, we can then look at analyzing it, being able to monitor and audit, being able to see that in a visual way. And once we have that in place, We can look at actually time saving, about speeding up delivery, about securely accelerating the fact that we put an application delivery out there with automation, with further integration, and have that complete lifecycle management. In a digital transformation world, microsegmentation is key in that. If we can give ourselves that application-centric view, or as Mario said, that business context on it, we can then map the dependencies that these applications require. We can create things like shared or subscribed services, the DNS, the NTPs, the admin tools like the secure file transfer or secure shell access, and then move that to the sort of zero trust default deny type network. These sort of software-defined networks, or you could call it the application fabric, require complete visibility to enable that secure management. But visibility sometimes needs to extend back into traditional networks as well. So we might come out of the actual microsegmentation network. So you need to look at some sort of management platform that can embrace maybe the cloud, the public cloud that's not in that digital transformation package at present, and you want to move to that. Or you're bringing in the traditional network, the traditional firewalls, the external firewalls, the physical environment. Things like application recertification needs to go on. Whereas back in my day when I was network admin, it would just be firewall checking or firewall recertification. Again, almost blindly checking why we still got these rules, maybe just phoning somebody up, rather than being able to see if an application is still there to use. And that also provides us that audit and continuous compliance within there, and then hopefully some automation management. Nick was talking about move to the cloud. Microsegmentation policies will span into public, private, or hybrid cloud environments. We need to be able to understand the applications to be able to sort of lift and shift and their shared flows. So if we're moving an application from dev to test into pre-prod into production, we need to be able to lift up those application flows and move it with it and move it in a secure way. We need, the cloud also enables the resilience and capacity in spinning up and being able to apply security as we spin those policies up. So again, the understanding there is vital. And if we get the view where we can have a uniform security policy across that whole multi-cloud hybrid environment, then we're on a winning streak. And then if this also bring in maybe the DevOps community again, so we want to orchestrate connectivity with DevOps dependencies, building connectivity as code into the DevOps pipeline, so integration with the Ansibles, the chefs, the puppets in there, and then having a change request workflow to speed up that delivery, maybe using chatbots from like WebEx or Slack for updates on the status of those changes to those creating it. And it's about giving the application owners a business owner view, their understanding of their application within the network, but they don't actually need to actually understand the rest of the network. This solution helps them understand it for them. So they just need to know, I want my application to work, and this must travel from here to here. They don't need to know what's in the middle, and tools and management around that help with that. So what's the solution? So we had that broken visibility, we had that increased risk, and we had those slow app changes. So the key part always application discovery, to find out what's on there, what's talking to what, why is that talking to that? Should that be talking to that, as Nick said? We need to sort of understand that. We need to understand how applications fit in with our own compliance policies as well. And then intelligent application connectivity automation. So move to zero touch where we can change manage at speed. So solutions that help us do that. So if we look at what we're talking about today, we can look at using guarded core, using that to discover and protect, being able to put the labels on, put the policy on those solutions, to lock it down, to understand, and then feed that discovery information to AlgoSec. So we can get that application awareness, we can pull in those labels and those policies, and then we can actually then have a view within AlgoSec how to use that. And once we've obtained that visibility, we are able to sort of manage those policies, but also the wider policies outside of that, maybe that microsegmented network, as I said earlier, the external firewalls, the hybrid, the legacy network, or the cloud. And that will also show us things like where maybe certain communities within the enterprise have gone their own way and span up their own cloud outside of a normal network security team. That sort of shadow networking again, and we can see that here as well. And that all help towards building a more secure network. And once we have that information, we can import it into site, and start managing the application. We can give application owners a view of their own flows and how it's being used, whether that connectivity is provided or whether policy at the present is blocking it. So applications owners take their own management in a way. We can give them a view of how it actually sits within different networks and different zones and who's talking to what, give that quite visually to them as well, to give them that understanding of the network. And even pulling in third-party tools there as well. So we can look at it as an application as a whole by bringing in different vulnerabilities that we've seen on the actual servers that make that application up. So again, moving towards the application-centric view, pushing the owners almost back onto the application owners to understand and to be able to manage their own applications in a safe and secure way. Those application developers bringing it on, being able to speed up their deployment and also deploying secure applications. And I think that's the way enterprises should be moving. So in summary, being able to discover applications and their dependencies and have that visibility will assist in digital transformation. As I said, we can build and manage those microsegmentation networks. At the same time, we're actually reducing the attack surface by moving to a zero trust model. So in turn, it's actually securing those critical applications. And on top of that, we can ensure that we have compliance with that visibility across the whole hybrid network. So thanks for your time today. Hope that was informative. Back to you, Marcus.
Thank you, Richard. We have a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to try to summarize your presentation and ask some questions here. But, well, the position that we see AlgoSec take in this partnership with Guardicore is that we see Guardicore as a really strong solution for the micro-segmentation part. But many times the customer needs to have a more holistic view covering more segmentation products like the load balancers, like the cloud native firewalls, for example. The data center firewalls is also part of the flow. And to extract that to a level where AlgoSec can help administrate and maintain the security configuration of all these devices and connect it to an app-centric view, it's actually one of probably the only way we have today that we see a blast to make sure that this microsegmentation is being kept properly configured. Do you agree with me on that statement?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you've got to have that visibility with the network to enable microsegmentation in the first place. And then once you've started deploying it, then it's the management of it. And the Guardicore solution, for us is a great tool for the discovery side of it. And then when we can actually start managing it and assisting those sort of networks that are being managed by Guardicore as well, to be able to provide feedback into the loop, it just makes such a strong solution.
Yeah. So because when Mario presented the way to implement the microsegmentation part, he had 4 steps. Start small, think big, and then move into. But when step 4 is done and you're in production, I think the most challenging step is left, and that is actually to keep it up and running properly configured, and also being able to do it in the speed of light to support the DevOps team, because they really want to move fast. So I think that's where AlgoSec really comes into the picture, make sure that we have everything properly configured accordingly to the policies that the companies have. So that's where we see AlgoSec. So thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Once again. Yeah.